So here's what Themistocles suggests. He says, we need a navy. We know that the ships that are coming in with Persia are largely going to be big, bulky ships that are transporting supplies. So he comes up with an innovation on an already existing ship plan, and he builds what are called triremes. Tri, three, rows of oars that are manned by free citizens, which means that you can move much more quickly than a big barge. If you've ever been paddling, you know that if you move forward on one side and backwards on the other side, you can pivot pretty quickly. So that's essentially what these ships are. In addition, they've got a really strong hull and basically a battering ram at the front. So their tactic would be to move towards the side of a big ship, row really quickly, punch a hole in its side, let it sink. They have 170 oars, so 170 of them, 3 rows, each manned by one person. On a good day, they could travel 60 miles in 8 hours, which is pretty significant back in the day. Much better than just relying on the wind. In 480 BC, as the Persians are getting together and as the threat becomes more imminent, 30 different poleis come together and they form an alliance. Xerxes ends up sending apparently 150,000 men, 600 ships to Greece, and this alliance sends about somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 Greeks north to a mountain pass called Thermopylae to stop these folks. The Greeks are able to hold the pass because even though there are 150,000 Persians, it's steep mountain on one side and ocean on the other with maybe 20 feet in between, which means that the battle has to be like however many men can fit 20 foot to 20 foot. So hundreds of people are fighting instead of thousands. The Greeks are able to hold this pass for several days. If you've ever seen the movie 300, it's a horribly graphic representation of this, but relies a lot on the same sources that historians use, namely a guy by the name of Herodotus. They aren't successful in the long run, but they are successful in slowing the Persians down, which means that by the time they're able to make it to Athens, the Athenians have actually withdrawn from the city. The navy, those triremes here, is able to attack the Persian navy at a place called the Battle of Salamis and defeat the Persians a second time. They end up having to go home licking their wounds. And now twice over the course of 10 years, the Greeks have defeated the Persians, the smallest, kind of best thinking empire, it's not even an empire yet, group of poleis that have banded together are able to defeat the biggest empire the world's ever seen. If we think about this from the perspective of like Mandate of Heaven or ideas of government in India, the proof's in the pudding, right? Because they were successful, they are obviously superior to the Persians. And how they've done it? By uniting, by creating this collaboration. So what we want to do now is think a little bit about some of the first historians who relate to this.